Having worked with yellow, we're now going to do a similar approach with our green and either look at using exactly the same green but with additional black added to it, or else going for the watercolor approach where we use green as our base but we add yellow for the brighter tones and blue for the deeper tones. So going in first, I have selected my green off my bright top palette. And having selected it, I'm going to tap into the classic view of my palette. So here it is, and you can see where my green dot sits in the middle there. I'm going to check my brush and choose the round brush at 100% opacity. And I'm going to go in and use a fairly organic shape because I just like this shape. It feels good to me. Okay, so there's my great big green egg. Sounds like something out of Dr. Seuss, green eggs and ham. And now I tap back into my color palette and I'm just selecting a deeper shade of my green towards the bottom, so a vertical line down towards the darker section of the square, and I can go and add in that deeper green onto my green egg, which I do. And you can see that the green, somehow we can accept that green gets darker. It doesn't look muddy quite as quickly as adding black tones to yellow. So here we are again, choosing another place pretty much directly below where our green started, going deeper, filling in my green egg to shade it downwards, and another time, deeper and deeper. And now we are getting into a somewhat muddy kind of combat green, I guess one could call it, forest green, and this is pretty close to black here, but we'll use it just for fun. Now it's time to go in with our smudge tool, and as you've realized by now, smudging does take a large degree of patience. We don't want to introduce too much, we don't want to introduce white from the edges. We also don't want to scrub backwards and forwards, so I just carefully smudge the first line and the second line, working from the darkest part upwards. Smudge the third intersection of two colors. The fourth one, you can see there I introduced some white from the side, bad move. And then I go back to my darkest one again and just smudging, smudging, smudging. So this smudging business really does take quite some patience and working with discipline from the darkest color upwards. That you can see how we've got our palest green up near the top here, and we work our way down to the deeper, pretty muddy green by the very bottom. Once we finish that, I'm going to quickly select it. I'm going to transform it and squish it into a smaller space. And having done that, I'm now going to look at the watercolor version. So going into the watercolor version, I go back to my color palette and I make sure that I've chosen my green and make sure that I have the right brush. So I'm going to be using my custom watercolor brush, and I'll just check that the opacity is set at my default 20%. And now what I'm going to do is go in and draw myself my green egg. So I keep my pencil tip down and I fill in one layer. And then I go back in and I add in some extra layers. And I did this with the yellow as well. It was less obvious because yellow and white are much closer in kind of sense, but I did a similar thing before. Having got the basis of my green there, now I'm going to add, at the very top, I'm going to add some yellow just for a glow of light. So I choose the yellow out of my palette. And I'm literally going to go in and just put one layer like this. So keeping my pencil down, layer like that of yellow, and now I'm going to do a similar thing at the bottom of blue. So there goes my blue coming in. And then it's a matter of blending. So I'm going to pick up some of this yellowy green from the top and blend across this division, and then pick up some of the more green from below and blend again. So blending back and forth, and then into the blue, blending upwards, from the green down into the blue, blending downwards. So I'm just gradually dragging the different blends of my color up and down to get a harmonious transition between the two. And if I don't like what I'm seeing, I can always adjust more and more until I get the results that I'm looking for. And as I've said before, I like this very organic, translucent, kind of glazed look. I like the naturalness of introducing different colors, the yellow and the blue alongside the green. It might not be to your taste, but it's entirely up to you. These are the two possible versions that I see of introducing colors into your work and shadows in a certain color.